Thank you. I call to order this zoning meeting for February 24th at 6:27. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Rawls. Commissioner Darrett.
She's
Commissioner Oster.
here.
Commissioner Jackson.
Here.
Commissioner Russell.
Here.
Commissioner Hill. Here. Commissioner Lee.
Here.
Commissioner Thompson.
Here.
Commissioner Fox.
Here.
Commissioner Jay.
Here.
Commissioner Frazier.
Present.
Thank you.
Junior Commissioners.
Junior Commissioners, yes.
Junior Commissioner Powell.
Here.
Junior Commissioner Zanders.
Present.
Junior Commissioner Tarbox.
Here.
Junior Commissioner Patel.
Present.
Junior Commissioner Whitcomb.
Present.
Junior Commissioner Brizard.
Present.
Junior Commissioner Price. Here. Junior Commissioner Kingsford.
Here.
Junior Commissioner Davis.
Present.
Junior Commissioner Graves.
Present.
Junior Commissioner Greenwood.
Present.
Thank you. I will now turn it over to Commissioner Thompson for the Pledge of Allegiance. Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next is the amendments to the agenda. We have no additions. Number 7 is deferred to March. And number 8 and number 9 are withdrawn. Again, no additions. Number 7 to defer to March. And withdraw is number 8 and number 9. Do I have a motion to set the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
I should have given more than 10 minutes for everybody. We're all off. I have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Frazier, second by Commissioner Jackson. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Approval of minutes. Do I have a motion for Commissioner Frazier? Second. Second by Commissioner Thompson. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Public forum. We have 2 signed up for public forum. First is Kevin Murphy.
May be heard when the item.
Yes. The second one is Randy Cunningham. Mr. Cunningham, would you rather be heard now or when the item is presented? Okay, we can do that. We can do that. I'm going to now turn it over to Director Moyers to swear in the individuals.
All right, if you're here to speak to this body on any item on the agenda, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm testimony you're about to give you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Be seated, please.
Thank you. First item, Madam Clerk.
Item number 1 is 1-D-25-RZ. Request of Benchmark Associates Incorporated for rezoning from A agricultural to RA low-density residential at 2007 Robinson Road, parcel ID 105-224 in the 3rd Commission District.
Thank you. Is the applicant present?
Yes, I'm Benny Mormon with Benchmark Associates, 10308 Hardin Valley Road.
Thank you very much. Do we have any opposition to this item? Seeing none, Director Brooks?
Planning Commission recommends that County Commission approve the RA low-density residential zone because it is consistent with the surrounding development and the Knox County Comprehensive Plan.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from commissioners? Seeing none, we've already spoken, and so, Commissioner Frazier.
Oh, I was just going to ask if you would speak a little bit about your project.
Really not much of a project at this point other than rezoning. My client is interested in adding one home to the property.
Seeing no other questions, since this is in my district, turn it over to myself. I make a motion to approve RA low-density residential because it's consistent with surrounding development in the Knox County Comprehensive Plan.
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Frazier. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. I told you I'd make it quick and easy on you. There
Thank you
go.
so
Thank
much.
you. Have a good
Appreciate y'all.
evening. Next item, please.
Item number 2, 1-F-25-RZ, request of Paul Blake for rezoning from A agricultural to RA low-density residential at 125 Highland View Drive, parcel ID 138-0A-002-003 in the 9th Commission District.
Thank you. Do we have the applicant? If you'll step forward, please. Give your name and county of residence.
I'm Paul Blake, Sevier County.
Okay. And we don't have any opposition. Director Brooks?
Planning Commission recommends that County Commission approve the RA low-density residential zone because it's consistent with the Knox County Comprehensive Plan and surrounding development.
Thank you. Would you like to speak to your project?
It's just fixing some lot line encroachment.
Okay. Do we have any questions from commissioners? Seeing none, I will turn this over to District Commissioner Fox.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve this zoning request because it is consistent with the Knox County Comprehensive Plan and surrounding development.
I have a motion made by Commissioner Fox, second by Commissioner Frazier. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Best of luck with your project.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Item 3, 1-M-25-RZ is a request of Terry Romans for rezoning from A agricultural to CN neighborhood commercial at 1907 East Governor John Sevier Highway, parcel ID 111-03606 in the 9th Commission District.
Thank you. Hi. If you'll give your name and county of residence, please.
Terry Romans, I'm the engineer and surveyor that represents Mr. Webb on his
Okay.
property. I live at 1923 Hopewell Road, Knoxville, 37920.
Okay. And I don't have anybody signed up for opposition on this item, so Director Brooks?
Planning Commission recommends that County Commission approve the CN neighborhood commercial zone because it is consistent with the intent and location criteria of the CN zone.
Thank you. And would you like to speak to your project?
Sure. They're building a large subdivision right down from where Mr. Webb owns his property, and we're looking at maybe doing some either storage or some type of strip development that would support that neighborhood, because they're putting in a lot of houses down there. They're compact, and storage would be, and they're beside Knox Chapman Utility District, so I think it would help the neighborhood that's going in.
Okay, perfect. Do we have any discussion from commissioners? Commissioner Frazier?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Brooks, I noticed that the staff recommendation was to deny because it's partially related, that the zoning is partially related to the place site, that it doesn't meet the required criteria for partially related. Can you speak to that a little more?
So staff's analysis of this and was the basis of their recommendation to deny was that the zoning should generally be placed at street intersections that include either a collector or arterial street, as close to the edge of a neighborhood as possible. While this property is on an arterial, it is not at an intersection or on the edge of a residential neighborhood. There is residential development in the area, but staff didn't feel like it was sufficient density to support some additional commercial zoning in this location. In addition, the CN zone staff looked at the comprehensive plan and found it to be inconsistent with implementation policy 4, which prefers commercial development to consist of walkable mixed-use centers, corridors, and neighborhood nodes. This site is adjacent to Knox County, the Knox Chapman Utility District, and a number of large single-family homes.
Thank you, Director Brooks.
Thank you. Commissioner Thompson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I tend to, I guess a little, this is just on the line, just outside of District 8. So I tend to agree with staff. This is in the middle of a residential not an intersection. But just the neighborhood commercial, just in general, possibly storage, possibly strip building, something. It's a really odd place to put that type of, I guess, development or building, construction, whatever, inside that residential. To me, it seems very out of place, so I tend to agree with staff on this one.
Thank you. Commissioner Fox.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Romans, first, has there been a discussion with the people who live directly across the street with respect to this proposed development?
Yes, I think there were only two, I guess, people that commented about it. And the lady across the street was here at the commission meeting, or planning commission meeting, and she came over and talked to us, and we told her what we was wanting to do, and she was fine with it. The only other person was Carson Bailey.
How far away is the proposed, or the tract of land from French Road? Because that's an intersection, right?
Yeah, there's two French roads there
Well, it's the one,
in there. Yeah.
it's,
I don't know without looking at my drawings. I mean, I
you
could.
can't, okay, you can see it up there, right, yeah, okay. All right, so it's
You have
actually,
plenty of sight distance if that would be an issue. I mean, we've looked at sight distance, so there's plenty of sight distance based on the speed of the highway.
okay. I have a question for Director Brooks, Madam Chair. Okay, Director Brooks, with commercial neighborhood, isn't there a distance for the intersection, or when you're talking about an intersection in commercial neighborhood, because that's one of the criteria, it has to be, the proposed rezoned tract of land has to be within a certain distance of that intersection, is that correct?
I'm looking at the zone here. It doesn't say a specific distance. It says just that generally be placed at street intersections that include either a collector or arterial street as close to the edge of the neighborhood as possible. Let me look a
do
little
you-
bit further down here.
Well, do either you or Director Snowden know the distance from French Road to this particular tract of land? I'm trying to look it up right now.
Based on the scale at the bottom of the map, it looks like it's over 600 feet.
I'm showing 548 feet.
839 feet, according to KGIS.
I'm doing the same thing, and I'm getting 548 feet.
It looks like it's a little over, well, it depends on where you measure from, but 500 to 600 feet.
Okay, all right. All right. And now, Mr. Romans, the Knox Chapman office has or location has an office building, is that correct?
Yes.
And then it has a bunch of big water tanks, correct?
Yes.
And then-
Back by the river.
Yeah, and then it's got other industrial type equipment, is that correct?
Yes.
And then that's right next to an already existing residential neighborhood, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is not really going to be out of character with what's already there. Do
No.
you agree?
No,
Okay,
I agree. Yes, I
yes,
agree.
all right, thank you. That's all, Madam Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Durrett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With zonings, I typically go with the zoning commissioner. This one, I'm not saying I'm not, it gives me pause because we worked for 18 months to create our growth policy plan, and this would not be honoring that. And so that's just that is where my hesitation lies. I don't know if anyone else wants to speak to that, but, and even for some commissioners who, the ones that were just sworn in, and even our ones from 22, we've been working on that, gosh, I can't tell you how many hours we as commissioners have spent on it, our staff has put into it, so that's what's giving me pause on this one. And the zoning stays with the land and not the owner. I appreciate that you all are looking to put commercial in for the residents that will be there, and it's neighborhood commercial. However, y'all could get the zoning and then sell it tomorrow. And who knows what would be there then. And so that's what's making me concerned about this one.
Thank you. Do we have any further discussion? Commissioner Hill?
I have a little bit of reluctance voting on this, to be perfectly candid. I did not make it out to District 9 to look at it. And I'm kind of thinking, Commissioner Fox, I don't know how familiar you are with this.
Very, very familiar.
Okay, because
Yes.
you were asking about the distances and all that.
Yes.
So, all right, if you're familiar with this, I'll defer. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Hill.
Thank you. Commissioner Fox?
Yes, I just want to say that I do support this, that I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but I have seen inconsistencies with place type, and I've made big deals about inconsistencies with place type since I've taken this office, and zoning that has taken place, and decisions that were made by this body before I stepped into office, where place types were changed, the plan was changed because, just within a few months of having spent 18 months. And so I don't get that argument, particularly with respect to this particular piece of property, because it's next door to effectively what's an industrial site, okay? With an office building, commercial and industrial, all in one. And so I believe this commercial zone will be helpful when it comes to this new development that's going in. It's very close to an intersection, so I think that we should support the Planning Commission. I don't always support the Planning Commission's decisions, but I think they made a good decision in this one. And I therefore move that this rezoning request be adopted because it's consistent with the intent and location criteria of the commercial neighborhood zone.
I have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Fox and a second by Commissioner Lee. Okay. Commissioner Thompson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess I'm only pausing on this again because, yes, we have French Road, but it's, looking at the map, it doesn't seem like it's correct me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't seem like it's a major intersection. I was trying to figure out what side streets and residents it goes to. It's a very, once you head down French Road, it's a very rural, open space, probably, I'm assuming not a very heavily trafficked area.
It goes back by my house. I come out that road. I come out that road several times a week.
I guess, yes, Knox Chapman is there. I guess it's a little different since they're a utility, but I don't know. It just doesn't, to me, it just doesn't seem to fit.
If you're asking about
Since
traffic on that
in
road?
the rural conservation and it's still ag, so
There's not a lot of traffic on that. I mean, it's just a road that loops around, and
on
there's
French
not
Road.
a lot of houses on French Road. I mean,
Yeah, well,
there's
that's what I'm
not a
saying.
lot of
As far as
traffic.
it being close to a major intersection with traffic and to warrant a neighborhood commercial type development, it's a very small rural road. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hill?
Thank you. Director Brooks, I can't pull this up because I'm out of juice here, but could you just hit the high spots on the CN zoning? Aren't there limits in size of building and that sort of thing?
Yes, are you wanting to know dimensional standards or the uses that are allowed?
Let me have both.
Okay. So it does allow retail sales that are limited to, I won't read out the entire list for you all, but, grocery stores, clothing, jewelry, garden and lawn supplies, florists, things like that, of that
Gotcha.
nature, barbers, shops. dental offices, vet clinics. Uses, there are some uses that are permitted on review, so those would have to come back before the planning commission. So outdoor storage of materials, fueling stations, self-service storage facilities, vehicle repair. Building height is limited to 35 feet, and no individual building or commercial establishment shall have a floor area exceeding 5,000 square feet.
5,000 square feet. So if he were to want to put the storage facility, he'd have to come back for use on review?
Yes. Yes, self-storage facilities would have to come back for use on review.
Were you aware of that?
Yes.
All right.
Commissioner Russell?
I was just curious, so you would be able to do a self-storage facility for, in a size of less than 5,000 square feet and still be,
It's my understanding that's per building, not just 5,000 square foot on that.
Director Brooks?
Yeah.
I think they limit.
It's limited to 5,000 square feet
In total?
in total.
In total, okay. Was that it, Commissioner Russell?
yes, I
Okay.
was just,
Okay. Commissioner Thompson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So would, I guess that was a question you all may have had, too. So it's 5,000 square feet total. Is that sufficient for your storage units for you all?
Yeah.
Okay,
it's-
that's what the limit is 5,000 square feet total for storage units. Per building? No, total, per lot. Correct? Is it 5,000 square feet total per lot?
This just came before BZA. I believe that is correct, yes.
Okay, so it'd be 5,000 square feet total for storage units.
I just want to let you know, I've got 3 buildings.
Step up to the mic though, please.
Can you
I
get
have-
your name and address too?
Jimmy Webb, 585 Pickens Gap Road, Seymour.
Thank you, thank you.
I have 3 buildings probably a mile away, and I've had them for right around 30 years. Never had the first problem, never had the first neighbor issue. And I keep them mowed, I keep them landscaped. And, I was looking at doing something like I've got, or doing a storage facility just because of the residential areas, apartments, all the apartments, 250 units going up less than 200 yards.
The reason I was asking is, for this particular rezoning for neighborhood commercial, for this lot, the limit would be 5,000 square feet. And irregardless of what they look like or whatever, that's the total space that you would be allowed per BZA's standard. So if 5,000 square feet is not adequate enough for you to pursue storage units, then it would not behoove us to rezone it to neighborhood commercial, because if you can't do storage units and you were to sell the property, then we've opened a whole can of worms of other potential uses.
I was understanding for the last meeting that it was 5,000 square foot per building. You could do 2 buildings there for storage. It's not?
No. Director Brooks, do you want to speak to that? I want to make sure that they're not confused, so.
I mean, I can do my best. So BZA just recently took up this particular issue. The code is unclear. I mean, and so that has been one of the challenges. But BZA did rule that it was 5,000 square foot per lot in total.
Okay, per lot, so it's not per building.
On that neighborhood commercial, can I do the office warehouse like I've got, the small ones for tenants? I mean, I was saying either or. I've got 3 buildings less than a mile away that's got office, like one of them's got 3 units, one's got 4 units, one's got 4 units. And I've got 2 10,000 square foot buildings and a 5,000.
Right, but those they would not be in neighborhood commercial zoning. They would be in a different.
It was plain commercials, what those were.
Okay, that would be
Yes.
planned commercial, so that would give you a much broader use of that piece of property than neighborhood commercial would. Neighborhood commercial, but since it's deemed neighborhood commercial, it is more restrictive, smaller scale, to fit within the neighborhood. Director Brooks, is that Am I explaining that correctly?
Yes, if it's in a, yes, different
Yeah.
zone.
Commissioner Jay? You're not gonna, okay, never mind. All right, so, right now we have a motion on the floor. I'm almost, for me, Commissioner Fox, I think I would feel better maybe postponing this and letting them talk to planning and actually kind of figure out what they're doing, because they're kind of confused on what they can do, and it may be, that's just kind of my thought about it. If you'd like to redo your motion, or I can make a substitute if you want me to. Okay. So I'm going to make a substitute motion to postpone for 30 days. And we have a second by Commissioner Jay.
Can I,
Yes, go ahead.
gentlemen, I seconded her motion, and I think that, I just want to tell you why. I literally, I understand both sides of this argument on both spectrums. I think it'd be, if it's clear what's gonna happen and you guys had some clear direction, it's gonna be between two neighborhoods, but it's also right next to a big commercial thing. It's kind of a weird spot. And I think if it was clear, this commission would be clear about whether or not it's something that they either want to stick very strictly to what we thought on paper, or make sense to support the residents that would have an asset of some kind. I think if you came in and said it was a small commercial retail center that would support the neighborhoods, or grocery or something like that, everybody would have probably said it kind of makes sense, but storage units end up being a different world altogether, and it seems a little vague. So I think give it more time. If you guys are up for that, I mean, this body will decide, but I think if you could find a more clear path with some direction, then you probably will find a more, less hesitant commission.
Thank you, Commissioner Jay. And that's really what I was doing. So you guys kind of would, everybody be on the same page, and you wouldn't kind of be confused on what to do. So that's the reason I did
Probably need
that.
to have a prayer meeting with planning
You called
to
planning.
maximize what we can do with the property.
Exactly. So I think that's a good opportunity for you to sit down and talk to planning, figure out what you can do, and then it's a great opportunity for you to get back with Commissioner Fox. So everybody's kind of on the same page. So we have a substitute motion on the floor to postpone for 30 days, and a second by Commissioner Jay. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. Best of luck. Next item, please.
Item 4 is 1-E-25-RZ. It's a request of Thomas Burdette for rezoning from A agricultural to RA low-density residential at 7217 Bell Road, parcel ID 029JA00303 in the 7th Commission District.
Thank you. Mr. Burdette. If you will give your name and address, please.
Hi there, my name's Kevin Dean. I'm from Cumberland County, 7 Fire Tower Road.
Thank you. And we do have opposition on this. This is Mr. Cunningham for this item? Yes? Okay. So the applicant will have 5 minutes to address commission and let us know what your plans are on the project.
Okay.
And then the opposition will also have 5 minutes.
We're
So
s-
if, Director Brooks, if you can read planning commission, and then you've got your time.
Okay.
It'll start, okay?
Planning Commission recommends that County Commission approve the RA low-density residential zone because it's consistent with the Knox County Comprehensive Plan and surrounding development.
Thank you. Now, go right ahead.
Okay, we're seeking to build 7 residential homes on this tract. Each home will be on a third of an acre, and I believe we're within your county's development plan.
Okay. All right. Is that all you want to say?
That's pretty much it.
Okay. Mr. Cunningham. If you'll give your name and address, please, and you've got 5 minutes, up to 5 minutes to address commission.
My name's Randy Cunningham, and I live in the Indian Crossing subdivision, which is located on Bell Road.
Okay.
I just found out about this about 2 weeks ago. There's so much new housing and rezonings and halls, It's wild. I mean, I live on Bell Road, which is basically 8/10 of a mile long. We've got 246 homes on that road. And that's a country road. It was built probably 50 years ago. Asphalt on the side. We don't have white lines on the side. They won't fit. If they did, you couldn't get by each other. All we got's a good center line out there. Mostly for tractors, cars, and that's about it. A few wagons still run down that road. But our problem is, we got 3 large subdivisions out there already. You got Haynesville, Indian Crossing, and Jennifer Place. And if you just thought about that, 246 homes, of at least 3 or 4 cars, nowadays, people have 5 or 6 cars. We've got over 700 cars on them road out there for 8/10 of a mile. And you can't pass people half the time, because everybody drives faster than what they should. I know when I first moved out there 33 years ago, I could ride my bike down the halls, or I could walk down there if I wanted to. You can't walk on that road or ride a bike on it anymore. You'd get killed. And I understand, I have nothing wrong with his homes. That's fine, but the only thing I have against, and most people in the halls, I don't know anybody that supports it on Bell Road, because you're putting 3 houses on a yard or a lot, acre, and everything out there is single dwelling. Some of them have a half acre, some people have an acre, some people have up to 3 or 4 acres. And now, we've been out there for 30 years, and now, and I have nothing against the commission, I understand, you want to grow. But all of a sudden, you want to change the zoning. What's going to happen? He's bought a 2.4 acre lot out there, and he's going to put 7 homes on it. Somebody else out there is going to die, because there's a lot of older people out there. Those are farmers out there. They're going to die. Their family's going to sell it. Then you're going to have 10 acres at 3. What is that? You're up to 30 homes or 300 homes before you know it. And there's 2 large parcels out there. Somebody's going to develop those parcels. Now, if I was a developer, if I have all these houses all crammed in there, then why would I want to bring out $500,000 to $1 million homes? That's what we've got in that subdivision. You're killing the values of those properties. And that's what everybody's fearing out there. And it's a shame to, when I drove out there wasn't traffic. But my gosh, Emory Road's exploded. I mean, we go from 4 lanes to 2 lanes. I'll tell you what, we got more people coming down Emory Road than they got out there at the interstate. And I'm not kidding you. Come out there one time. And since my wife made me come up here tonight, they ought to make all you all come and ride with me to go to Halls one time. You can sit in the back seat, and my wife will sit in the front, and you'll hear everything. We're going to get killed down here getting on this road. It's that bad. Everybody coming from Corrigan cuts through Bell Road to get to Fountain City. Everybody coming home at night cuts back through to get off of Hall's traffic and come right back down our way, Bell Road. I mean, we're swamped, and it ain't gonna get no better. I just ask for some help. The road system out there, I've been there 33 years, it ain't changed. And, if you go to Google about these PUD homes, our sisters out here in the North City are struggling with it. They have put it off a whole year. And I've been there, I inherited some property down in Farragut on the water. They put those homes down there. All you see is roof lines. I couldn't live down there because, first of all, I couldn't find my house. They'll build 300 of them. You drive in there, and they're all the same color. I mean, you're lost. I'm just asking for help. Y'all got problems coming with that because Halls are just busted at the seams. And, sometimes you wonder if there's any control out there. So that's what I'm here for tonight. I have no problem with him building his house, and my father was a builder. My brother's done a lot of developing. I understand that. But somebody's got to put the cart behind the horse, because now the cart's 50 yards ahead of the horse. And we can't even go to eat dinner that night. You can't get down there. You got to leave 2 hours to get in the Halls. So I'd appreciate any consideration. I thank y'all for y'all's time.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. We appreciate it. All right. Would you like to respond? You have the ability to do that. Come back forward because you may have some commissioners that have some questions for
Right.
you.
I don't really have anything to say other than I've been a builder for 37 years. We're trying to fulfill a need. We bought this tract hoping we could maximize as many houses as we can, and we feel like a house on a third acre is sufficient. Now, we would be open to going lower density if we needed to, but we feel like we're building a good-sized house, 1,400 square foot on an ample-sized lot. So I don't have anything to say about the traffic. I know you were aware of that, and that's the way it is everywhere. You can go to North Shore, you can go to Fountain City, it doesn't matter where you go, you're gonna find traffic, so.
All right, we'll stay right there because I'm sure you got questions.
Sure.
Commissioner Frazier.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have a question. Did you reach out to the district commissioner to talk about the project?
No, I don't believe we have.
Have you reached out to anyone in the community?
We have. We've met with all the local neighbors, and everybody seems to be on board with it.
Okay, and then Director Snowden, can you tell me what's the road width of Bell?
Yeah, for sure, Commissioner Frazier. We've, these questions come up a lot, so I've got my staff doing these monthly now. We did measure at several locations, and we felt like the average width along Bell Road in this particular corridor was 20 feet wide, so you have two 10-foot lanes out there.
Okay, thank you. That concludes my questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Thompson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As the gentleman in opposition, I tried not to take offense because he called me out. I am one of those Coreyton residents who does take Bell Road and Crippen Road as a cut through. For me, yeah, Bell Road, it's a peculiar location. I'm not exactly sure who thought it was a great idea to put the larger subdivisions on Bell Road in the past, but it goes from Emory Road, and it's kind of the road that goes to another little road that goes to another little road that eventually gets back to Mandeville Highway. So it's an odd little road. And yes, it is frequently used as a cut through because when there's accidents on Emory, and you can't get through, then you take Crippen and Bell and Beeler and all those other little cut through roads. So, yeah, this is the tough one for me to go, yeah, sounds great. So, yeah, I'd spoken with a few of the other residents that came up to me, and so anyway, thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Hill.
Thank you. Looking at that, our planning staff did approve this. The growth plan supports suburban residential, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and what he's talking about building is approximately 3 per acre. I actually remember when the Indian Hills, what is the subdivision?
It's Indian Hills.
Yeah, I actually lived in Halls at that point in time, Mr. Cunningham, and I remember when that was built then, and people thought it was horrible because it was out in the middle of, a farm, and unfortunately, that just seems to be where we are now with our growth, so much growth and development. But I have a hard time not supporting this recommendation because it does, in fact, support our growth plan that we worked so diligently to lay out to begin with, and there is a subdivision directly behind it. It looks like it's probably three per acre, and even across the street is at least 2 per acre. So I would tend to support this ask.
Thank you. Seeing no further discussion, I'll turn it over to Commissioner Lee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do sympathize with Mr. Cunningham. I have had a number of people I've talked to off of Bell Road and in that area. I cannot support these units per acre. I would make a motion that we approve it with 1 unit per acre would be my motion.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Lee and a second by Commissioner Frazier. Commissioner Thompson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. just a point of reference, because I'm looking at the map and obviously it gives us addresses, whatever. Bell Road, where it comes out on Emery, is that where the Chow Hall is?
It is.
Okay. I'm very familiar with that one because, I've known that's an odd offset intersection. So I'm coming off of Bell, I can't see it for Bell Road. The subdivision that, Commissioner Hill had, referenced, that one has direct access to Emery Road, where the one on Bell Road does not. The Bell comes out on Emery. So, yep, I'll defer on this one. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was actually opposed to the 3 per acre, but for completely different reasons. Is that I think that when we're in suburban residential, this close to a main artery on Emory Road, we need to be at a minimum of 5 or 6 per acre. That's kind of where I'm coming from, is that I'm looking at minimum per acre. But, I think 3 is a reasonable number, and I make a motion to amend the current motion to do the 3 per acre as presented. A substitute motion.
Okay,
I'll second that.
Madam Chair,
yes.
I apologize for interrupting. We have some discrepancy with the RA zoning. You typically don't set density, it's a square footage. So we need to take that into consideration. In PR, you can set density, but in RA, it's a minimum or maximum square.
RA is 10,000 square foot minimum size. So if he's got a single lot, he would have to subdivide it. And the subdivided lots have to be a minimum of 10,000 square feet. But that's
Which
set
they
by the
would be.
ordinance, okay? It's not, PR is where we set density separately. So since he's seeking RA, if you give him RA, then he can build a house every 10,000 square feet.
Oh.
Okay? So if you want to limit the density, what you'd have to do is rezone it to PR. But since there's no indication that PR was considered here, we'd probably have to send it back to Planning Commission for their recommendation if you wanted to do that.
So,
I
Commissioner,
will amend my motion then. We have an amended motion. Yes, that's correct.
okay. We've got a substitute motion on the floor, though.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
She tried to amend.
Yeah. So the substitute, so. So your substitute motion is to approve the RA, or it's to,
So my substitute motion is to approve the RA.
okay,
As presented.
okay, all right, so, sorry, everybody. We've got a substitute motion on the floor to approve RA from Commissioner Jackson and a second by Commissioner Hill. So all in favor? Oh, any other discussion? Hold on, Commissioner Frazier.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had a question for planning. That just completely, was PR discussed with the applicant, or did you consider PR? Why did you want RA?
We felt that we were within your guidelines to build the 7 on that tract and be over 1/3 of an acre per home. I don't believe we sought after the PR.
Okay.
RA is directly related to the suburban residential place type. I don't recall any discussion about planned residential as an option at the planning commission meeting.
Okay.
And I've said before, our comprehensive plan and that process was very intentional. It was very thoughtful, but it's not perfect. And we have run into this where there's an RA zoning in an area where we should have probably looked at density. I have a hard time with this aligning in character and form with what is currently there. And our comprehensive plan throughout promotes aligning in character and form and preserving the natural landscape. And so that's why I'm struggling with that. I don't see 7 houses on this property aligning in character and form and preserving landscape at all. So I can't support what you're currently proposing, but I feel you.
Commissioner Lee, do you have, or is your light just still
Oh,
on?
I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll make sure I don't miss anybody. All right, so let me just make sure that everybody's on board. We're on the substitute motion by Commissioner Jackson, second by Commissioner Hill, to approve the RA zone, correct? All right, so, all in favor? Aye. All opposed?
No.
All right, so we're gonna do a roll call vote.
Commissioner Rawls.
Aye.
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 Commissioner Darrett.
Aye.
Commissioner Oster.
Aye.
Commissioner Jackson.
Aye.
Commissioner Russell.
No.
Commissioner Hill.
Yes.
Commissioner Lee.
No.
Commissioner Thompson.
No.
Commissioner Fox. Commissioner Jay. Commissioner Frazier.
No.
6 to 5. Yep, 6 ayes.
So it passed. Okay. It passed 6-5. Oh, best of luck with your project.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, next item.
Item number 5, 1-G-25-RZ is a request of Stefan Clar for rezoning from A agricultural to PR Plan residential up to 2 dwelling units per acre located at 8007 Millertown Pike, parcel ID 051016, part of, in the 8th Commission District.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello,
If you can give your name and address, please.
it's Stephen Clare, 300 Letterman Road, Knoxville, Tennessee, 37919.
Okay. We do have opposition, but you'll have your 5 minutes. And Director Brooks, if you will give the report, please.
Planning Commission recommends that County Commission approve the PR Plan residential zone up to 2 dwelling units per acre because it's consistent with the Knox County Comprehensive Plan and surrounding development, subject to one condition.
Thank you. Would you like to speak to your project?
Yes, ma'am. Just to give you a brief overview, I've been working with the Trout family for the past number of months in order to develop this plan. We're currently proposing 2 units an acre for a total of 43 units. We're going to be using about 9.5 acres of the property to keep us well below the 50% limit for the rural conservation. Also not intersecting the hillside protection on the back of the property, leaving all of that ridge to be what it is, which is really pretty. Rode the property with the Trouts just to give you a little concept of who they are. Families lived there for 110 years, I think. This was his brother's property. He died. Mr. Trout's in the later stages of dementia, but he rode us around the property and have asked to name the site after themselves, their family, to preserve that memory. And so they're going to be doing that, should we be able to make it through all of this. But it's been a really neat project, really neat getting to know somebody that's been there that long, and we respectfully ask that you approve our request.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Murphy, if you'll give your name and account and address, please. You have up to 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Kevin Murphy, President of the Knox Community Planning Alliance in Knox County. KCPA requested 8 conditions for this rezoning. Before I get into those specifics, you should understand why we're asking you to take action. It's simple. If you don't impose requirements, language using the phrase shall, then your planning commissioners will not require it. Full stop. When rezonings come up, the public hears statements like, this is just a rezoning, we're looking at density. We'll come back later and we'll take a detailed look when the plan comes in front of Planning Commission. 2 things. First, at rezoning, you're not only looking at density, but you're also signing up for the fiscal impact of the development. Secondly, you're saying if it's either approved under the existing development regulations or if you're going to add conditions that are specific to a specific site. At the development plan stage, your planning commission is not interested in requiring applicants to do more than the minimum shall requirements. This month, just down the road at 7514 Millertown Pike, We asked Planning Commission to add development plan conditions for tree preservation, open space management, and neighborhood connectivity. They had a long debate and then added nothing. One commissioner clearly stated the majority position. We need to stick with what we have now and address it at a later date. Staff also indicated an unwillingness to implement policy changes that are in the new plan but not mandated by strict shall statements. So the 6 of you that were on County Commission last year will recall that KCPA submitted a number of suggestions for the new comprehensive plan to give the plan teeth. Mayor Glenn Jacobs sent the County Commission a letter opposing almost all of those conditions and threatening to veto the plan if those were included. Thus, the adopted plan only has a few strict requirements in it. Our existing zoning ordinance and subdivision regulations also lack these requirements. We did try to get something done several years ago. There was a planned residential stakeholders committee that was convened in January of 2021. It met twice, but that was shelved in favor of waiting for the comprehensive plan, a plan that doesn't have teeth. Now, 4 years after that, we're waiting for the UDO to add teeth. Meanwhile, your constituents are really unhappy. This is why, if you think these are good ideas, if it's what your constituents want, then the only way it will happen is if you exercise your legislative authority to impose those requirements. But if you don't take action, it won't get done. I'll briefly mention why each of these conditions is important. Grading. We recently attended a Fox Ridge neighborhood meeting where they discussed the large development next to them off Harris and Babley Road that Cook Brothers is developing. A resident told us about how they looked outside one day and saw Cook Brothers was clearing off some trees. The next day they came home and they were looking at the top of a dump truck. They had graded off 15 feet right at the back of the property line, which is exactly what the grading plan said they could do. That's going to damage roots of that neighbor's trees, and he will have to initiate any action to collect damages for any of those trees that were destroyed. It's a cost of time and money imposed on neighbors because of our low standards. Secondly, open space management. At the Planning Commission meeting for 7514 Millertown Pike, they allowed a stormwater detention pond to be counted towards open space. They're going to grade in that open space. There's no site analysis, so we don't know what's worthy of being conserved, and if it is being conserved. There's no requirement to present any kind of a plan for management of that open space. The proposed conditions use some parts of the Model Conservation Subdivision Ordinance, parts that don't get into sidewalks and stormwater management, but that do give you definitions of open space, requirements for concept and design plan phases, and permitted and prohibited uses of open space. Third, neighborhood connectivity. We need this because even with the comprehensive plan, Policy 11, and subdivision regulations that for more than 30 years have been setting a standard, those don't say shall, and thus your planning commission does not require connectivity. In the last 18 months, down at that Millertown Pike area, they approved 2 developments by the same developer, side by side, with no connectivity. Finally, tree preservation. Time after time, a developer comes up to the podium and says, we won't remove any trees when we have to. It's expensive to remove trees. Then we see that lot completely clear cut. That's why we need that. We're here asking you for these conditions because the can's been kicked down the road. Planning Commission won't step up. You're the last recourse. You have options. You can adopt the conditions, you can postpone, and you can ask the staff to take a close look at the details, but make sure they know that you're looking for ways to say yes and not just to push this to the UDO. You could require development plans to come back to you as part of these rezoning requests. Or you can do nothing, kick the can down the road again, continue to have neighborhoods and communities show up to Planning Commission, speak for 5 minutes and get absolutely nothing, walk out feeling helpless and disgusted. If you enjoy having frustrated constituents, doing nothing is your answer. Otherwise, please do something. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Clark, would you like to respond to any of that?
I didn't get the memo that I was going against a pro here because he's a lot better at all this than me. I appreciate his thoughts, and I know that there's a much broader subject he's speaking about than just this property, and so there's no hard feelings. We'll talk later. No, I'm joking. What I would say is, just in reference to what he mentioned, I completely understand. Obviously, I grew up in the country. If it was up to me, we wouldn't live in trailers like I did, but we live on big pieces of land, and we wouldn't have houses right next to us. At the end of the day, nobody likes to see things change, and I get that. But in reference to the points he made regarding the things with the conditions, This site, other than, if somebody could pull up the satellite view, it probably would be helpful. Where our site is going to stop, and we've already developed this concept plan, the site falls almost perfectly in grade. It's 4 to 6% from the road to where we stop development. There, yeah. So the area that are the two fields there in the front, our development actually stops at that tree line. Grading is absolutely to a minimum. There's almost not a whole lot to do. In reference to connectivity, if I'm thinking this correctly, our neighborhood concept plan includes sidewalks that connect to the road, to the Dollar General across the street. There's commercial next to us, as well as a bus stop with a cover for kids waiting for the bus stop there with Ellistown and Millertown. And then in terms of tree preservation, if you look at that satellite view, there's one strip of trees that separates those two fields, equals a little more than an acre, maybe total if you're generous. The other 12.6 acres of trees will remain untouched. So again, I know that there's a broader conversation, but just to address this site, we are very much trying not to do anything that would fall in line with what that objection is discussing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do commissioners have any questions? Seeing none, I will turn this over to District Commissioner Thompson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the remarks by both of you. And, I mean, I live literally like 7 minutes from this piece of property, and it is a historic site. There's a lot of history there, and one of the things that I've found, being more out in the rural area, is yes, there's signs out, but we don't have as many eyes driving past it, so there aren't as many people that take note or really notice it. But anyway, I've had a few questions, and folks were concerned. Oh, what's going on there?
Yes, sir.
I appreciate the sentiment of preserving it, naming it after the family and whatnot. So, to Mr. Murphy's point, if there seems to be a pattern of we do the zoning and the conditions will come later, the concept plan comes later, but planning commission doesn't always, there's some ambiguity, and so I feel like if we don't put the conditions in, even if we just, made sure that everything you say you're wanting to do, we put it in and put it as a condition, and you get to do everything you want to do, but we put it as a condition. So if for some reason you move on and you're not the one that does it, whoever comes next still has to do it. I think that's an important step. I would, if it pleases the commission, I would like to postpone this until March, to sit down with the applicant and have a discussion, and bring in planning and see what we need to do to make this, because to Commissioner Frazier's point in the previous item, the idea was to have the new things that go in respect the existing area and be in alignment with what's already there. Because if you look at look at the map, it backs up to a 1 dwelling unit per acre subdivision. Across the street, it does have a 4 unit per acre subdivision, but that was done in 2000 or back in 2005. Beyond that, there is nothing. It's going out into the rural area. So I would make a motion to postpone this until March. So to give us time to iron out the details and have a conversation, because you and I haven't spoken yet.
Well, now, I want to be very careful how I say this. Sure. I know you're very busy, but I had reached out via email and left messages on your county line a few times asking to discuss this, because I do find it very important, and any of the commissioners I've worked with will tell you that's true, to get your thoughts directly. Sure. And I usually try very hard to tailor what we're doing to take that into account and change what is possible. I understand your desire to postpone. This isn't a ploy. The Trout family's old and pretty sick. They've been extremely stressed. We're not going to close. We're supposed to close in a couple days after zoning, which obviously at 2 per acre, maybe I was ignorant for that. I think things have changed. I probably wasn't expecting any issues. I feel like it's going to be something I have to explain to them. Maybe we can talk to them about it together so that you could help them understand why we need to wait. But again, I'll leave that up to the commission to make this decision. I respect, and I'm saying all that respectfully. That's in no way to cause any issue. I just am trying to get this done for them.
Sure.
Is that still your motion?
Is anything, so you're saying it would hold up the closing for a few days, is that?
Well, our closing is obviously with the temperature of zoning and development in Knox County currently anyway, it can be tough. We all know that. Closing prior to zoning approval is very dangerous when you're investing a couple $1 million in a property.
Sure.
And so our closing is contingent on zoning approval, and they agreed to that. I hope, we discussed that with them and they understood. And so it's something that we obviously we'd need to wait on until we were done with that. That's all.
Sure.
And
And
again,
again, I'm not opposed to something happening here.
Yes, sir. I understand.
But just a blanket 2 units an acre with no direction is, for us in the past, has gotten into pretty dangerous territory.
No, and I get that. I would say I'd love to meet with you sooner than later. We have a concept plan I'd love to show you. I have it with me. Again, we're using less than 50% of the property completely. There was an acre that we had originally talked about in the front, which KKCP instructed us to pull out because it actually falls within the commercial, community commercial, what is that, CMC? Yes, rural commercial corridor. So that is going to be left agricultural, which is next to the little convenience store there that's been there for a long time. And so our neighborhood falls around that. But again, I'm not here to cause a conflict. I'll work with whatever the commission deems is the right choice.
All right, then, is there,
Are there particular things, Commissioner Thompson, that you can think of now that you would want to condition the property at the 2?
I mean, of what he's described, it sounds fairly attractive in preserving the things that you're wanting to do. And I like the fact that the family has kind of directed the direction of what you're wanting to do. Is there any, I guess I'd direct this to Director Moyers, is there, you say you already have a concept plan?
I do, sir, yeah. Yes, sir.
But you don't have it with you, or is there?
It's on my tablet. I'm happy to show it to you. If you have a moment after the meeting, I'm happy to.
I was just trying to figure out how to, because if it is everything you say it is, there's a lot of protections in there already.
We've got, Commissioner Jay has a question. Are you good to
Yeah,
think that
yes, I'm
through for a
good. Yeah,
second?
go
And then we
ahead.
can discuss it? Okay. Commissioner Jay?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner Thompson, Mr. Murphy, Mr. Clear, I respect you all tremendously. I really want us to stop for just a second as a commission and understand where we are. We are in a very specific zoning case, looking at just the zoning of PR up to 2 units an acre, which is in a rural area, which is exactly what our plan calls for, with a development that is literally everything you all ask for every month. Don't disturb the hillside. Use the land that's there. Connect, we are literally in a zoning meeting. Please go back to your planning commission flowcharts. What is rezoning? And it is not planning commission. It is not concept plans. It's not use on review. This is not what we're doing. And I really, really caution this commission diving into it. And I understand, Mr. Murphy, you want everything conditioned at but that is not how our law is set up, our ordinance is set up, and our structure is set up. Our structure is set up to hear the rezoning. Now, any other applicant could walk up and say, I would like to have this rezoned, and say nothing else. Because that is what our ordinance says. We are considering, is this an appropriate use of the land? Because even though he has a relatively great story about connecting with the homeowner, which I fully believe, he could walk out the door and do something completely different, because we don't get into the next phase and the next phase and the next phase. That's the purpose of this, is we hear one thing, we hear zoning, and then we stop. And then there is another step in which applicants go to sit down with engineering and planning, and then they come up with that's the whole point of PR. So don't put all of the ingredients into the mix on step one. Just focus on step one. Otherwise, then none of this matters. And we're literally going to break every bit of our own ordinance by putting conditions of X, Y, and Z on top of all of this. Just step one, stay focused. Vote on, is this appropriate to go to PR with 2 units an acre? And I think there is not a reason in the world I see that this is not appropriate to do that. Full stop.
Thank you. Commissioner Frazier.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner Jay, I respect your comments, however, I disagree. If Planning Commission was sticking to our plans, I would be happy to stick to zoning. But I think that's very short-sighted given the circumstances that we're in, and that is the reason that Knox County in general is in the situation that we are facing and that we all have to deal with every single month. It is our duty to protect Knox County and the citizens and their quality of life. We spent a lot of time and effort, as Commissioner Durrett said, on updating our growth plan, creating the comprehensive land use and transportation plan. And that wouldn't have happened if it hadn't been for a group of citizens advocating for their communities. It just wouldn't have happened. We had advocated for that through several administrations. And so, again, I understand that you want to focus on zoning and use, but it's much, much bigger and broader than that. And maybe we just approach it differently. We have always respected each other and our positions, and I absolutely respect where you're coming from. To say all of that, I have had the pleasure of working with Mr. Clark, and he is intentional and thoughtful and responsible and extremely open to working with neighbors, community members, and commissioners. I have a lot of respect for that approach. When we first met, he said to me, "I want to be different." He did. He said, "I want to be different. I don't want to be like that. I don't want to leave things worse than I found them. I want to make things better." And so even though this would give me a little bit of pause, I'm putting it out there that I'm putting some trust in you to do what you say you're going to do, because we as a county, we've been burned over and over and over again until I am sick to death of it. And so I will support this. But I want you to work with me, and I want you to work with the district commissioner, and I want you to work with the community.
Absolutely.
And I want to see all the things that you have planned. I also want to point out, he has a concept plan, commissioners. Most developers do. When they go to the bank to get their financing, they're required to have one. So when they come to us and say, "Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do on it until I get the zoning," I don't buy it. I don't buy it. And I do think we need to move to requiring a development plan, a concept plan, something at the time of zoning. Because it takes out the speculation, it takes out the worry and concerns of community members, and even us as decision makers. So I'll get off my soapbox. Thank you for your patience. And again, I look forward to working with you on this.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Commissioner Hill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I actually agree with Commissioner Jay and Commissioner Frazier. There's a lot of truth in what you both say. Absolutely there is. What we are charged with is looking at this point in time with this case in front of us. I do support this in large because, as Commissioner Jay said, this is exactly what we have been looking for in our zoning. I also support it because of what Commissioner Frazier said, is that we want these developers to reach out. Stefan, you did reach out. You did it, you attempted to, and you also talked to others about this. And I commend you that you have done your homework on this, especially to the point, as Commissioner Frazier said, of even having a concept plan. I know that Commissioner Thompson, your district and mine are two very different districts, but I will tell you, 2 per acre is a dream all day long. And we had just better plan on getting used to that. So for all those reasons, I absolutely support this development.
Commissioner Fox.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question directed either to Commissioner Frazier or to Director Brooks, but what happens with the back part of that property? I know it's got hillside protection, but it's not like the city where you can't build on it at all, or you can build on it some. So what happens if the front part is developed at, effectively, the developable part would be basically 4 units per acre because it's clustered, because it's spread over 20 acres. But then could at some point in the future, someone, maybe the applicant, he sells it, and then somebody else buys it, and they say, hey, we want to build on this back part, and we're going to come back to Planning Commission and County Commission, and we're going to ask for new zoning, and we're going to, and all of a sudden you jump from, can that happen, Commissioner Frazier?
No, this is rural conservation, so there's a requirement of 50% to be left open space. And
Okay.
so hillside and ridgetop protection, again, through the county, is advisory. Through the city, it's regulatory. But because it's rural conservation, the 50% stands, which he is stating, that is a part of even the condition
Okay.
that was placed on zoning.
But then, do you want to speak?
May I answer that as
Yeah.
well, and agreeing with her? Also, per a slope analysis, which we haven't done with the county yet, but we did our own, most of that ridge is well above 15%, which greatly would reduce any density. But the thing is, with planned residential, the parcel as a whole is taken for the density, and the density can be used in what that is, but the rest of the parcel can never be taken apart from it. The only way I think that you would be able to do that would be buy another parcel adjoining and add it to it. And so that will be dedicated forever as green space, maintained by the HOA at their cost and kept as an amenity for the community. But it could never be built on. And I'm going to be honest, if you walked up it, you wouldn't want to. Maybe one at the very top, like if I could get one up there, but.
But there are of course, if you look at Gatlinburg, they're building on very steep slopes over there.
This wouldn't, I don't believe the Knox County guidelines would allow you to do that. And we would have used all the density that would be available to us. There would be no more to build any other units. I think our plat would be denied, or any addition to that plat would be denied. Is that correct? Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
I'd like to just add, I've always been really impressed with the way that you do things and your projects, and I love that you're keeping the family engaged in it. That is going to mean something to them down the road, so I appreciate that. Commissioner Thompson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To your point, yes, I don't think that ridge top is, it's steep, but to Commissioner Fox's point, that ridge is not tall enough to have the scenic views required to, that they have in Gatlinburg.
Yeah.
Obviously, as commissioners, we're not allowed to talk to each other and discuss, but I think there's one key thing that's been brought up since I had my motion. You threw me a curveball because you actually have a concept plan. You said, hey,
Yes,
I
sir.
have it here, would you like to?
Yes, sir.
And so having that's a huge piece. And to Commissioner Frazier's point, good developers are worth something. And those relationships, we need those because we have been burned. And I appreciate. I did find an email that you did send me.
Okay.
I am sorry I did not respond.
No, it's okay. Well, I didn't want to bring it up because, to be honest, I also don't want to conflict with you. I'd like to work
Sure.
in your district again, and that's going to be pretty tough. I may have some things coming down later that we need to discuss, so.
Well, and and like I said, I have plenty of planned growth area in my district.
You
It was,
have a
I
bunch,
mean,
yeah.
it was expanded.
You have a lot of flat land too, which is hard to come by in this county. but-
It is. And so, I would like to have a good relationship with you moving forward as well. And not, such conflict, but no, I would actually like to change my motion, to approve, since, per staff recommendation, since, he does have a concept plan, has come prepared, and has a really good track record, and relationship with other commissioners in history in Knox County, so.
All right, we have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Thompson and a second by Commissioner Frazier to approve. Do you want with the condition that that planning has?
Yes, subject to the conditions already there.
It's always good to put it in there, though, guys. So we have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Thompson, second by Commissioner Frazier. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, and best of luck with your
Thank you
project.
for your time.
Next item, please.
Item number 6 is 1-L-25-RZ is a request of Molly Hughes for rezoning from I industrial to A agricultural located at 2425 Mine Road, parcel ID 042-18402, part of, in the 8th Commission District.
Is the applicant present? Hi. If you'll state your name and address for the record, please.
Molly Hughes, 1107 Level Road.
Thank you. And I don't see any opposition to this item, so Director Brooks?
Planning Commission recommends that County Commission approve A agricultural zoning because of the change in conditions in the area.
Thank you. Would you like to speak to your project?
It's just gonna be a suite for a mother-in-law.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Seeing none, I'll turn it over to Commissioner Thompson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I mean, it seems pretty simple. I'm assuming you're gonna, a suite for your mother-in-law to move in?
No, so I'm working with the contractor, so it's for the applicant, but her mother-in-law moved from Florida and is currently living in a van, so they're building her a house.
Sounds good. Well, I don't want to hold this up so she can get in the house, so, I'd make a motion to approve, please.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Thompson and a second by Commissioner Lee. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Best of luck with your project. Thank you. And, all right. Do we have any other business? See no other business?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would again like to wish my husband a happy birthday. I did it in the original and he was not here, so.
I will again second.
And happy birthday.
And I got a second on it and he wasn't here, so.
There you go. Well, happy birthday, Doug. Commissioner Thompson?
Oh.
Okay. Commissioner Hill?
Yes, just.
We're not done yet, guys. Hold on just a second.
Just briefly, I know that we are. I know that we're looking for projects for our junior commissioners, and I just wanted to mention Commissioner Riles is having a community meeting down here, I believe. If you'd like to maybe announce that might be something our junior commissioners would be interested in.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Yeah, this Friday at 4 o'clock. It's actually going to be in room 640. But we'll be having a discussion with the sheriff on some procedural things. And so he'll be giving us a presentation. And so there'll be an opportunity. Some of you remember, like at the detention center, he talked about some of the things, but we'll go a little in-depth on some things. So, and then the community will be involved, but I will be asking the questions for the community. So, but it'll be a good opportunity if you guys, want to come. So 4 o'clock Friday.
It's a good opportunity. Thank you, Commissioner Rawls, and thank you, Commissioner Hill, for bringing that up. No more business in front of this zoning commission. We are adjourned.